Hey guys, Parfax here. Today, I want to bring you a new series called Budget Builds. Alright, let's get started. So, the reason why I decided to go down this road was because a lot of people are now playing Elder Scrolls for either the first time or they're returning players that haven't played in a while. Now, not everyone has all the high-end gear and maybe even the time to farm up the gear or even have the money to buy what they can buy. So I wanted to make a build basically for new players that don't have a whole lot of money, or maybe you just want to try something out new that doesn't cost a ton. So when I started, I had a parameters of 100,000 gold from start to finish. That includes any mats that I might need to craft it, anything that I need to buy, including a little bit of food, anything from glyphs to upgrade materials, everything. Now, what I've settled on is I bought one overland set, I had one full crafted set, and I have one half crafted set. Now, one of the things about the crafted set is when it comes to crafting, you don't have to be a crafter to get it crafted. You can join many guilds. I always make sure that one of the first things that new players should do is join 5 guilds because they'll easily be able to craft you a lot of the stuff that you need, and most of them will be willing, even if you have to give them all the materials, which I have calculated into the build. You won't even probably have to pay some of that. A lot of people will just upgrade it for free, but I went ahead and factored all that in, and it still came in well under 100,000 gold. All right, so let's first talk about the gear. So first we're going to talk about the overland set that I decided to try. The overland set that I decided for is Bloodthorn. Bloodthorn is going to be the sustain set that I wear. I am wearing Bloodthorn chest, legs, and 3 pieces of jewelry. Now, I did buy this Bloodthorn rose chest green. It was 1,500 gold. And I bought them both in pen. This was 1,500 gold. They were both 1,500 gold. Actually, the rings were like 1,500 gold as well. And I bought them in pen, but this one I did have to upgrade from green to purple. I suggest that you upgrade everything to purple other than your jewelry. And that's where the baseline is. So Bloodthorns, what's it give you? It gives you spell damage, gives you magic recovery, and then it gives you some resources back when you deal direct damage. This is a pretty good set. It's really cheap. It's pretty underrated. It might not be quite as good in some instances as like Bright Throats, which I love Bright Throats, but that does only give you magic back. This does give you a little bit of stand back, where as a Nightblade, the one thing that I really struggle with in my builds, especially when you want to go for cheap, is getting enough stamina so you can continuously be able to break free. So that's why I went with Bloodthorns. Now, I basically showed you already the second set that I'm running, and that is New Moons. Now, like I said, you can get pretty much any guild will have somebody that will be able to craft you this. Now, I factored in all the prices for it. You see the master merchant price. That's not what I paid for it. I had somebody craft it. I had all the mats and stuff for it, which we factor into the build. And it's part of the reason why I always suggest people to get into guilds, because you can have people craft stuff for you. Now, on all my pieces of gear, now the 2 pieces of Bloodthorn came with enchants, but as you can see on the screen, I'm gonna pop it up right now. I did buy magic enchants for my gear, which I have it on all my piece of crafted gear. And so I'm running for New Moons, I'm running boots, belt, gloves, and then my front bar weapon. Now the reason why I'm not running back bar, which I'll show you the last set that I'm running, which is fortified brass, just another crafted set. You can swap this out for many different sets. It gave me some health, which I needed a little bit more of. Then when I'm on my back bar, gives me some armor. Gives me, you know, double pieces of armor. Which your back bar is typically where you go when you're in trouble. So a little bit extra armor is pretty good. And then I'm running fortified brass on my shoulders and helm. Now, obviously, there's a lot of ways you can go with this. You can run a 2-piece helm here. You can run, you know, special resto staff in the back bar. but this is just for budget builds. You don't need anything other than a little bit of gold, get you going with this, and then maybe someone to help you craft the sets of gear. Okay, so we have the fortified brass in the back bar, we have helm and shoulders. Then let's talk a little bit about the glyphs. So here is the damage glyph that I bought. And as you can see, I just have an infused staff with that purple enchant on it. This magic damage restored as magic was already on the staff. Or no, I'm sorry, I had it crafted for me. It was another 500 gold. And it's just a really good enchant for any build if you want to go as a baseline. It's not necessarily the top, but when it comes to sets, that's kind of where I start, because if you run out of resources, it's just so hard to sustain living, or in this case, cloaking, which is what I use this Nightblade build for, is almost perma cloaking and then blowing people out of stealth and then getting back. So now that we kind of went with the gear setup, we'll talk about the last part here, which is these 2 spell damage enchants I put on here. As you can see, I put them up on the screen here. And I did that because I have a lot of sustain on the build. I originally didn't put them on there, and the build was a little bit cheaper. Now, the enchants that I bought were only 1,250, so not very much. But I was really able to sustain magic super easy, and I wanted a little bit extra damage. So I put 2 glyphs on there. Now I am a Breton, and I still feel that I can at least put another spell damage enchant on this ring and be perfectly fine. Start off with maybe no spell damage if you're like a high elf or something with a little less sustain. But I found that, putting at least 2 spell damage enchants on here would be really good. Now I am running full impen, and that's just to try to make sure, I limit how hard crits hit me, because you are very squishy. Even though when I show you the skills, we are tankier than, some magic Nightblades because of a couple skills. But if you really want to go absolutely ham on this build, you can even take off this impen and go divines. Now I'm currently running for my Mundus Stone. I'm running the Apprentice for a little bit extra spell damage. You can pump divines in it and really boost your spell damage and just absolutely try to nuke people out of stealth and get back in stealth before you die. But I went with impen just to be a little bit tankier. So let's talk about the playstyle. Now the playstyle is you're basically going to go in stealth, pop out of stealth, and blow people up. So as you can see, I'm on my back bar here. This is the resto. And I have Mirage because it gives me major evasion and minor resolve. Makes you, pretty tanky, especially if you've just come out of stealth. Which, when you come out of stealth, you're going to get major resolve. And then we have siphoning attacks, give you a little bit of, sustain. We have degeneration for 20% spell damage. And then, of course, rapid regen for some healing. Now, I am also running Life Giver as my defensive ulti. It's just really good. It can basically get you straight up to full health from the brink of death. Front bar, we're running Reaper's Mark to do some, major berserk and shred the resistances. Swallow Soul is your main spammable. We're running Dampening Magic because we don't really need the sustain from Absorb Magic, so we just want the extra damage shield. We're running Execute. We're running Merciless Resolve, which is probably our biggest, other than Dawnbreaker, it's our biggest hitting skill. You light attack, once that 5th light attack goes off, that bow just hits really hard. And then we're running Dawnbreaker Smiting. Another possible way you can play it is you can run Soul Harvest. It's okay, but I really prefer Dawnbreaker. It's just that it's an AoE. It's a pretty big burst. I did play around a little bit with like Lotus Fan. I took off Mirage, and I put on Lotus Fan to give them the minor vulnerability, 10% increased damage. But I really just didn't like getting that up close and personal to people. It's a lot easier to escape if you're not. But I have played that playstyle, and it does work really well. but for this build, I just decided not to go that route. And I know this isn't what you typically see on a lot of Magic Nightblade builds, but I'm kind of playing this a little bit different than a lot of people play. I'm staying in stealth, blowing them from stealth, and then blowing them up from stealth. Let's not get demonetized here. And then just kind of going back in stealth and surviving that way. That's my survivability, is stealth. You don't really fight toe-to-toe on a Magic Nightblade with almost anybody else. You're probably going to lose. Magic Nightblade's tools are mainly coming in and out of stealth. You can proc your crit passive on here. And the way I like to play this, let's see, there should be a troll around here somewhere. He's dead. He's typically over here. Oh, there he is. Okay, so he hit me already, but we're going to kind of play this anyway. So I stay in stealth, like the little degeneration. I'll do some buffs. Alright. I'm going to proc my resolve. And then what I like to do is I like to do a fully charged heavy attack into the mark. Then you just use your spammable. When the bow's up, you hit the bow. And then when they're in the range, you just execute them. I execute a little bit too early there. But you'll see in the clips, I do it a lot smoother. And then you just have your shields for when you're pressured. And if someone really pressures you, I always try to make sure I dodge roll and then cloak. That way, if anything is getting, ready to hit me, I can dodge it and get cloak. It's not always going to work. But while I'm in cloak, so when you're in cloak, I like to hit my, just buff up. You can see, if you swap bars fast enough, you can basically, stay in cloak while doing your buffs. Now, if you do heal, it brings you out of cloak. So you got to watch that. And your magic sustain is really high. I don't have my food on, which I guess I'll show you the food that I'm running right now anyway. So the food that I've chosen is Ghastly Eyeball. Eyeball, sorry. It's super cheap. It's only 250 gold, as you can see here on the screen. And it just gives you some magic and magic sustain. You can run some other things. You can run like the double health and magic. But I'm running the eyeball because it's cheap. This is obviously a cheap build. And it just gives you some extra sustain. Now I am running 26 points into magic, 38 into health. As you can see here, my magic is 3,100. Health is 22,000. Stamina is only 12,000, which is why I like the set that gives us a little bit of stamina back. Unbuffed stamina or spell damage is 2935. And then spell crit 22%, which I don't have any of my champion points put in there yet, I don't think. Oh, yes, I do. Just in this tree. But this build's mainly for Battlegrounds, so you're not going to have much crit anyway. You're not going to have your champion points. And see, my spell resistance right now is 1730. So let's do this. 1730. And we're 26,000 after we come out of stealth and we hit our Mirage. It's really good. Gives you a little bit of tankiness. Now, a trick that I like to use when I'm hitting degen, because on this build you really want to surprise people. So let's say I want to go over here and I want to hit the saber cat on the right. What I like to do is I like to target something else, the degen. Now obviously they're together, so they aggroed. But I like to hit something else because as long as you have the buff, it will, as long as you tag somebody with it, it'll give you the buff. So if they have a Sork and they have a pet out, I hit the pet. Just some random person, I'll go ahead and tag them with it. That way it doesn't give them any clue as I'm about to blow them up. Okay, so let's just kind of go over the overall cost of the build. So as you can see on the screen, kind of broke down everything start to finish. The only thing is I forgot to add in one glyph for my front bar, which is 500. So add 500 to this. So we have silk at 23,400. And that's for all my crafted pieces of gear. The ruby ash cost me 2,736. Glyphs cost 5,500. Bloodborne cost 7,500. We had 180 gold in hemming, 393 gold in embroidery, 6,696 elegant lining, 420 in pitch, 170 Turpin, 11,600 mastic, and then 2,500 for 10 of the eyeballs, for a total of what, 61,099.78. So really cheap. It gives you a lot of room to upgrade. The first thing I would do is make this staff legendary. And if you want to, you can also go Nirnhone on this staff. I did Sharpen because it's a lot cheaper. Nirnhone's a little bit more damage. But either way, you're going to be just fine. Make this legendary, and that adds, I think, 202 straight spell damage or weapon damage for you. It's going to make you hit a lot harder. For the sake of the build, I obviously did purple. That's the first upgrade that I would do. Second upgrade that I would do is buy purple of these. And then the next would be get a 2-piece monster helm, and you really can just get that in there as you play. Any 2-piece monster helm will do. You can do anything from Ice Heart. The Ice Heart ones is okay, just gives you a little bit of, it's more of a PvE set. Troll Kings is really good for survivability. You can do Zons if you want to go like the more melee play style. There's a lot of different options you can do for your helm. There's, seems like 10,000 of them out there nowadays. But all right, so that's the build. And, if you like the video, go ahead and hit the like button. If you don't, hit the dislike button and tell me why you didn't like it. And if you have any comments, suggestions, any class you want me to do next, I picked the Magic Nightblade because it's typically one of the weaker arena classes. You don't really see them very much. You'll see Standblade just spam and snipe, or, you will see eventually, every once in a while, some running around like the Stoons and surprise attacking and stuff like that. But you don't really ever see Magic Nightblades in Battlegrounds very much, just because they're very weak compared to other classes. That's part of the reason I wanted to do it on this class first, show you that you can use them. And I was in a mid-tier MMR. It wasn't the bottom of the barrel, but we had like 1,400 CP in ours. I had one round where I'm 777 right now. Then we had like, a 900, a 1,400, and on my team I had a 58. I don't know why, but I don't know if he queued with his buddy, but whatever. It was very mid-tier MMR for most of it. It wasn't super high tier, but it definitely wasn't the 150 CP ones that you see all the time. All right. Again, thanks for watching. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know what you want me to do next. Let me know if you like the video, dislike the video, whatever. All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.